Good afternoon, everybody. You are listening or also watching the Reds Report live on YouTube, Carlo.
Afternoon, mate.
Stuff.
Welcome to the kitchen.
Well, welcome to the bedroom where the magic happens. The Barnsley shirts are up.
Is that the magic? The Barnsley shirts?
It's the only magic that happens in here, Carlo, I assure you. So, thanks for joining us. I'm not sure what time it is. It's 3:30 here, but you could be watching this. It could be 7:30. Could be 8:30. I suppose it depends when Carlo gets his arse in gear and edits the video, really.
Oh, it'll be after 7:30 then.
You're still working, Carlo, despite all this carnage.
Yeah, I've got another conference call at 5:00. But yeah, I'm still working. And the thing is, as well, is in the office, you tend to be far more, on it, talking to colleagues. But now you have to send an email to somebody. You're waiting on back. You have video conferences, so it's just so awkward. It's so awkward.
It's probably made more difficult then, really, the job in general.
Well, I think it has, and I think besides that, you've got the normal worry, haven't you? You've got the worry about everything that's happening, the fact that nothing seems to get better. You seem to think, a couple of weeks and it'll be right, and then you're thinking, actually, maybe not. So you've got those worries. You're at home. I love being at home, don't get me wrong, but home is best when you've been to work, and then it's your pads. Now it's where I watch TV, it's where I work. I'm sitting in the kitchen, I'm sitting in the living room, so... Yeah, so I always look forward to this half hour with you, mate, and especially...
Yeah, well, I mean, we're proper Barnsley folk, aren't we, me and you? And Barnsley folk just like being with people, don't they? They just like to spend time with people, which is why we're still doing this podcast, which is why we're doing the vlogging on the YouTube channel, because we still want to keep the show going and at least try and entertain people, even if it's for only half an hour.
Yeah, I think try and keep a sense of normality. And, OK, we can't talk about that fantastic win on last Saturday and the crucial match coming up. Oh, we can still talk to people. Yeah, okay. And we're still sending the private messages on Twitter as well to people, and that's being really well received. So I just think if we sprinkle a bit of kindness and a bit of laughter, I think we'll just continue doing our job, don't we?
Yeah, and I mean, we've tried to keep it fresh. We ain't got much football to talk about, but we've had plenty of guests on the show so far. We've obviously had Lee Morris on from Woodsborough Bridge, the Woodsborough Bridge manager. We've got more guests coming up later this week. We've got a guest on the show today, Carlo.
We have. Do you want me to bring him in, or?
Yeah, bring him in. Yeah, bring him in. We've got Andy Clark, haven't we? Who's head of marketing and head of communications at Barnsley. Shall we give him a bell?
I'm ringing him now as we speak.
It'd be nice for him to join us.
I'll just have to remind him that we're video recording him for GDPR. Oh, look at this.
Look there. Look. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
You've instantly raised the IQ of this show. And also the aestheticness. The aestheticness has also increased.
Wow, I don't know what to say.
How are you? All things considering.
Yeah, good. It's strange times, isn't it? But yeah, it's okay. I think everyone's coping as well as they can.
Yes, we've just introduced you and your job title, your current job at Barnsley. Obviously, you're just starting to get to grips with it, really, in your new role.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of information on board in such a quick space of time, no doubt. And then this. I mean, there's not really a rule book for this one, is there?
No, there doesn't seem to be. I guess if you go by the textbook, it's crisis management, crisis communications, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guys that we work with, the team that we've got around us have been great. They've been really supportive, and I guess most importantly, everyone's been really understanding. Be it the fans, be it the guys in the office, be it the guys who are making the decisions. We all seem to be pulling in the same direction, which is really important.
It's probably a good time then, isn't it, actually, to put a bit of a spotlight on that backroom team, because we often talk about the players, we often talk about the manager. We know on social media you read a lot about the board, but we don't often hear about those people on a day-to-day. Well, you hear of Beth, because Beth is all over, isn't she? But
I hope she's not listening.
Well, I'll give her a false link. I'll be right. I'll send the last week's. It's okay. First of all, how can you tell us how the players are? Because it must be really strange for them. We said last week, they're athletes. They're almost programmed to perform very physically, the training and everything else they're doing. And now they find themselves at home. Have the Fulham players we've got, have they gone back home as well? And are they with family? Or have we got some that are in isolation here in Barnsley? Because that must be really strange as well.
Yeah, I think so. I guess the situation's developed really quickly. Over the first week, I guess, and ultimately the decision was made. Players could go away under our permission, so they'd have to, they'd have to tell us where they were going.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and then it seemed day by day situations changed. There was no clarity from the Football League initially as to whether we were going to play. We weren't going to play. That situation's certainly cleared up in the initial instance, but players were allowed to go home. I think the majority of the foreign lads are at home. I spoke with Gerhard this morning. He's at home and he's well. I spoke with Patrick earlier. Patrick Schmidt, he's at home and he's well. Chris and Whitey, I know they've done a lot of work with Marcel and Michael Solbauer. They all seem to be well. And the guys in England, I think they've all gone home as well to their hometowns, back with parents, etc. So as long as communication lines are open and they're all doing as they're told, then I think it should be fine, and we just wait to hear what happens next.
You mentioned Chris and Whitey, Andy, who are a big part of the team.
Yes.
How are they getting on? Because you guys are there in the office from like early morning till late at night. Like the lights still on at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock some nights, even later.
That's Streaky Tuesday
strange for you guys. Like
that's Streaky Tuesday, Matt. That
it must be strange for you, Andy, and all your team, really. Just not really having much. Well, I know you've been trying to keep busy, but you're not as busy as usual.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of thinking going on. I guess just speaking about Whitey and Chris, we've got hundreds. We've got 100,000 followers on Twitter and Facebook, so we need to keep thinking of ways to keep that audience engaged and keep that audience active. So there's a lot of time spent brainstorming via Skype, via WhatsApp, as to what works, what doesn't work, what have we done that's worked, what have we done that hasn't worked, and just keep spinning ideas off each other. The players that we've got are great, so they're open to phone calls, they're open to interviews. So that's a bit of a tick box for us. But in all honesty, I don't think the two guys have been busier.
I suppose in situations like this, the social responsibility of the media team, but the club itself becomes even more important, does it? Because it'd be very easy. You see in all these shops and everything that's closed and you don't hear anything from them. We can't go to Oakwell. We can't email you to see if we can pay on the gate tonight. There is no matches. We don't know when they're going to start again. But there is that social responsibility of just checking in with people, isn't it? Just putting a tweet out or something on Facebook, engaging people, because the majority are, well, besides the key workers and they're set at home, and it's a really strange situation for them as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well as looking after the digital audience and physical and real life fans, we've also got to look after our own staff. There are a lot of people involved at Barnsley Football Club, and we've got to look after them and their best interests and make sure that they're safe and well if they're working from home or whatever their situation is, we've got to keep checking in on them. So there's a lot of things to consider, and I guess as the communications team, we need to understand the best way to communicate with those different people, the best ways, best methods, should I say, and put the theory into practice. So it's certainly very interesting.
So coming back to yourself then, Andy, that is not a Barnsley accent. How have you ended up in Barnsley? How have you ended up in football even more so? So you're currently working. I've mentioned your role previously as we introduced you.
Okay.
How have you ended up here? Where did it start? How did you fall in love with football to begin with?
Well, I may take a few pelters for this, but due to my dad, I grew up as a Newcastle fan.
Okay.
And played a lot of cricket, played a lot of sport as a kid. Tried to be pretty active, which you'd never guess by the amount of chins that you can see on show.
I've seen you play football, Andrew, so I know how good you are at sport.
Well, keep to yourself. So I grew up really active. Really cliche, but have a dodgy knee through cricket. Played that to a decent standard, but always wanted to be a footballer. Always wanted to play professional football, and I guess when I realised that wasn't going to happen, I think I was maybe 15, 16.
I was just about to say last week.
I'm still trying. To be fair, I do nudge Gerhard, and if we need a big lad up top, I'm always to take it seriously. That I don't take personally. So I decided that if I couldn't wear the shirt, I'd wear the tie. I think my mum sat me down and said, your biggest passion is football. If you want to do something that you love and you're not good enough to play, then work in the business. If you scrub the toilets, you scrub the toilets as well as you can. If you're flipping the burgers at Newcastle, you're wearing the badge, you flip them as well as you can. And I was fortunate that I kind of, I guess, stumbled across business, marketing and media at high school. Went on to do the A-levels and the relevant degrees, etc., etc., etc. Cut my teeth at a rugby league club in Wigan, so I moved over there for a year, which was a bit of a culture shock because I literally knew nothing about rugby at all. didn't know how many points you got for a try, conversion. It was.
Sorry, Andy, we don't know nothing about football, so you're all right here.
Well, I still question myself on that as well, to be fair. So cut my teeth there, came back, finished my degree, and then started under Rob Davis as a work experience guy for I think it was 2017. Got made permanent and kind of stayed ever since, and it's been brilliant. It's been a great journey.
I was thinking earlier, I am one of the guilty ones last night that went through the first 4 episodes of Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix. You have to have something to do, don't you? And I was thinking...
Carlo, I've timed that 12 minutes before I mentioned Sunderland Till I Die. A massive Newcastle fan who works at Barnsley. Sunderland Till I Die must be an absolute dream for Andy.
Well, to be fair, I was thinking of him because in the Checkatrade Trophy, in the quarter-final, I believe, they played Newcastle under 21s and Sunderland won 4-0. And then I was thinking, imagine a similar documentary at Barnsley. So Barnsley Till I Die. We know, we've talked about we talk about the Andys, we talk about Gerhard, we talk about Beth. For both of you, actually, but Andy first, who would be the star of the show? Because, Beth, yeah.
100%.
She wouldn't let anybody else want to be the star, would she?
She is the absolute rock of the office. She's the nicest person you could ever meet.
Can I just say, Chris, before I come to you, a few seasons ago we recorded it, didn't we? Me and the other Chris recorded it at the ground, and we used to do it on a Thursday. And we went one Thursday, and we used to go in the boardroom at the back, and we sit with the Mac, and we recorded, and we'd have players on and everything else. And then we came out. And the lads had gone. Whitey had gone home, Lamping, everybody. To just
no way.
The shutters were down.
Whitey never goes home.
The shutters were down, and I'm on my phone and I'm saying, right, don't move, because if we go on a pressure play, the alarm will start going off, thinking, I've got a DBS to protect here. And actually, it was Beth, because she lives nearby. Beth then came and sort of let us out. And she's all over it, Beth, bless her.
Yeah, she's got a hand in everything. And I don't think the club would be the same without her.
No, you did, Rosser. I mean, What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think Whitey. I can't take my eyes off Whitey at times. I like watching him play football. He's just a character, isn't he? He's got Monk on with us, Carlo, because we've asked Andy on first. He messaged me. He can't believe we've asked Andy onto the show and not him. So I promised him we'll have him on.
You'll get much more value out of him than me.
I'm not having that.
But I think when you were saying about how you sort of got in this job and the love for football, very similar story for Andy, wasn't it? And I don't want to talk about Andy while he's not there, but he was a big Barnsley fan. He did a podcast called "This Is Not a Podcast," and that made you want to listen to it just because of the title. And he then sort of found his way. So I think it's great, even for us, Chris, as you know, doing things like the fan zone and being able to get close to players and ask those sort of questions, being included in things like fan engagement. Barnsley is, and has for the last 3-4 years, really sort of stepped up in that, Andrew, because there were times, maybe before your time, but you never knew what was going off. It was very much Clog and Degger stuff, and you read in the Chronicle what was going off, and it sort of stayed there. But now, fan engagement is really big, isn't it, for your point of view, even during these times as well? Yeah,
I guess so. Again, I can't really comment on what happened before me, what preceded me, but we do try. I guess our phrase in the office is trying to do the right things for the right reasons. We don't always get it right. We probably get it.
Who does?
No, I know, and it's tough because I guess if you pay your money for your season ticket or you come and watch the game, then you one, you're entitled to an opinion, and two, you expect the best, which is great. But we are trying, we are doing new things. You guys are on board, which is great in the fan zone. The supporters trust have been brilliant. It was an idea, the fan zone, and obviously that meant that they would kind of vacate what was Redfern's, but they were fully supportive of the concept. They were fully supportive of the idea. We've made a lot of changes up in the family zone in the East Upper, getting kids involved on a match day. I'd like to think that we're doing the right things. We constantly review. We've got a great period of time to review what we're doing and kind of plot a route forward. When that may be, I don't know. But yeah, we're certainly trying, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, me and Carl, obviously, we're very privileged because we get to spend a bit of time with the players. We get to do the fan zone. We get to do the commentary. We're very lucky. It's not really work to me and Carl. We don't spend 12, 14 hours like you guys. So, but when we come, we can feel that you guys try really hard, can't we, Carl? We can feel that there's a team there that genuinely cares about our club, and I just want to say thank you, Andy, because that's nice that we feel part of that. But equally, we can take a step back and just put his fans hat back on and just look and think they are genuinely good people that want the best for this club. And I think I might be wrong, but I think that's from top to bottom, really.
Yeah. So everyone that I come into contact with, who's there on a daily basis, love what they do. Yeah. They want the best for the people involved. Rob and Dane, so Rob Zuck, the FD and operations director, and Dane, the chief exec, they work tirelessly. They always want the best for everybody, for the fans, for the players, for the staff, and it's a small team, but it's our team. It's a really great place to be, and it doesn't. You mentioned that it feels like work. It doesn't. To be fair, it sounds really cliche, but you're kind of living your dream. You want to work in professional football. It doesn't feel like, even at times like now, where we're at home and we're getting up we're trying to put some sort of structure in place to achieve what we need to achieve. It still doesn't feel like work because the content and the concept all relates around football, and that's what everything boils down to. Which is it's a real privilege, and I don't think anybody takes it for granted.
Is there an added pressure, Andy? Because you talked about we don't know what's going to happen. What we do know is at one point a decision will be made about the state of the game of this season. And whichever way that goes, whether that's we're playing throughout the summer, whether we start we leave it as it is and we start next season with the number of points we've got, whichever it is, that's going to be a hectic time. for everybody involved in the club, isn't it? Everybody from getting the staff for the turnstiles, the car parking, getting the ticketing done, getting away travel arranged, overnight stays and everything. Is this very much the calm before the storm? You just don't know when the storm's going to hit us?
Oh, I'm starting to sweat now you said that, Carlo.
Carlo's really rubbed that in there. What you're saying is you're going to be really, really busy soon, so you better get ready.
Yeah, look, it's unprecedented, so we have no idea what's well, we have some sort of like there's basically 3 or 4 scenarios, isn't there? But it's tough. People will laugh when we say this, but it's tough not being proactive.
Yeah,
I know a lot of the fans will probably say that as a club we're not very in the best times, but we are going to have to react to whatever's thrown at us, be it from the government, be it from FIFA, UEFA, the FA, the EFL, Premier League, whoever it comes from. I think that obviously I must say that public and general health comes first, but in a kind of working environment, and the frustration is that we don't know what's coming. What are we working for? What are we planning towards? I think that's the overriding sense within the club. But naturally, public health comes first, and we will and will continue to abide by the rules or advice set from the NHS and the government.
I'm very intrigued, Andy, as to what your day currently looks like at the minute, like being at home and stuff, trying to get stuff done. And how that contrasts really to what a normal day would look like at Oakwell, if such a thing exists at Oakwell.
Well, I'm not living on meal deals at the moment.
I've seen videos of you at Snapchat. I've seen Whitey dob you in, at McDonald's. So don't be giving me that meal deal malarkey.
I'm a KFC man, I must admit.
Good choice. That's a good choice.
It's as I say, I've tried to and create a bit of a routine.
Yeah.
So sticking to the normal alarm times, working, the whatever the usual hours are, but it's important to kind of switch off. The first week of isolation, when you were bored, you'd find yourself on your laptop working, or you'd be doing something related to work, and it's important not to sometimes. Yeah. It's pretty intense.
It's hard, isn't it? Because the place you work is also the place you live now. I'm exactly the same. I mean, I said to Chris earlier, I've been working from home for a week and a half now. I got my letter today to stay indoors for 12 weeks. So I'm hoping to God that it's at least 12 weeks before there's any football whatsoever, because I ain't going to miss anything. But it's hard because I sit on the sofa and I sit on my MacBook and I do my work. And then I switch it off and I'm still on that same sofa in that same place. But now work mode is not. That drive home is normally where you switch off. And it's just not there.
I agree. I've always struggled to work from home, be it for school, uni, whatever the situation. I've always had to be in a working environment. I've had to be somewhere where I can focus and not get nagged to do the ironing or walk the dogs or anything like that. So it's
Don't
interesting.
Get married.
But yeah, it's tough. It's got its challenges, but again, making sure that the guys in the team have a routine and they can switch off and they can go and play on the PlayStation, or they can go and take the dog out and not feel guilty for not being on the laptop. I think that's a big piece. And we're learning and we're coming to terms with the situation, as is everybody. So it's interesting times. We're just like the rest of the country in that sense.
Yeah, and I think it's shown that actually I think we've underestimated how much resilience we have got. It's just never been tested like this before, has it? And I think that's when as they say, when the sort of the cookie crumbles and your back's against the wall. Actually, we can survive and we can improvise and we can do other things. Yeah. Well, that's today. Tomorrow might be a different day again. But
I think barring I guess the heroes that are out there in the NHS and the key workers who are continuing to do their great job, we're not being asked to do anything.
So stay at home.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen loads of videos and loads of pictures of people doing their duty by sitting at home watching Homes of the Family. It's not real. You're going to play a role by just sitting at home. So
I've got two more massive questions for you, Andy. Big ones, these, really big.
Right.
If you had a heart made up of football, 100% being in the heart, what percentage would be Newcastle? What percentage would be Barnsley? And would there be any more room for anybody else in that heart?
So my dad asks me this question all the time, and it's pretty well known that Newcastle haven't won a trophy for a lot of years.
And Barnsley have won quite a few in your time.
Right. Exactly. He said to me, if Newcastle played Barnsley in an FA Cup final or a Champions League final, whatever the situation, who would you want to win? And I said 100 times out of 100 Barnsley.
Wow.
100 times out of 100.
It's the right answer. You're through to the next round. This is what you can win. Hey.
And I guess the other question, which we ask most of our guests, well, all of our guests that have come on our newly found podcast or vlog, as you like to call it, Room 102, you have to get rid of one thing out of football and it disappears forever. It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be a physical thing. I think last week we had two guests that put referees in there, which I think is a bit harsh because there's some good ones. We don't need to say anything too controversial, but if you could get rid of anything in football for it to disappear, me and Carlo will make it vanish this second. What would that be?
I'm going all Harry Potter on you now.
Wow.
I've really dropped you in it there. Sorry.
That's a wonderful question, isn't it? That is a wonderful question. Wind.
Oh, okay. Well,
have you tried Rennies?
Well, I'm just. I say it from. I'm trying to keep it from my own perspective, and I guess the one big call that we always have to make is based on the fan zone. Yeah. And the one thing that always shuts the fan zone is wind. I would comment on anything that goes on the pitch because I can't. The guys off the pitch can't control it. But the only thing that we can't control that impacts our job is the weather. So if there's no wind, then our pre-match activities run smoothly.
So Carlo, are we putting wind in room 102?
It's in. I've done it.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, I bet that's not been said before.
What's that?
Has that been said before?
No.
Wind? No.
We had
a new one.
Yeah, referees and VAR. Although VAR is not for us, but still referees and VAR. Andy, I just want to thank you for taking the time out.
Yeah.
It's not easy when you have faces for radio like me and Chris to actually sit and face each other for 26 minutes and 10 seconds. And I think what we've seen, of what I've certainly seen, is when the team have not been playing, actually the fans are uniting now against this virus and sort of helping each other, trying to get through it. And in a way, I can't wait for the playing days and people start slating a player, start thinking that we don't do that, but it's what's normality for some people, isn't it? And a piece of advice I saw yesterday, I said to somebody yesterday when they were talking about a different football club in South Yorkshire, Hillsborough, actually, this is when you want to count on your football club, isn't it? This is when you want to count. And the first thing this morning when I logged on,
I've got to stop you. You've got to cough into your. You're going to cough into your sleeve.
There's nobody.
He did it wrong. Make sure you watch your hands after this podcast, Carlo.
And actually, the first thing I saw this morning as I got my phone out to get my secure connection for my council laptop, and I sort of checked on Twitter or Facebook, and it was like a maths question or whatever for young, divide the year we were founded by the. I think it's a shirt number for Ritzmaier or something like that.
This is for children, isn't it? But the adults are really loving it. Like they're really into it.
Yeah. Well, I've submitted 17 times and I've still got it wrong. So, but I think keep telling your guys to do what they're doing because it's just working and it gets people through days that are not easy to get through. So, personally, I'm sure on behalf of everybody else, thank you for everything you've done, and I can't wait to taste one of them all steak pies in the new media office. Prior to kick-off, and then talk to you after the match. What a fantastic 3 points that was.
Thanks for coming on, Andy. Have you got any parting words for our fans?
Parting words. What is it with you guys and put me on the spot? I just.
Chris used to be a police officer. That's all.
Rudyard, there you go.
I'm writing all this down, Andy. I'm writing all this down.
No, I guess just stay safe. Follow the advice that's being shared by the government and the NHS. So I guess those fans who are working in hospitals, care homes, in supermarkets, keep doing what you're doing, because you're keeping the country running. And we can't wait to welcome you all back to Oakwell. And fingers crossed there's no wind when you come back.
We'll see you there soon, Andrew. No doubt. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Cheers, guys. If you can press your red button, and then we'll just do a finishing piece, and it'll be uploaded tonight, mate.
No problem.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers. Bye.
He's a nice man, isn't he?
Yeah, really,
good.
really, really nice. And, and wise words, because they are dark days. It is hard. People's routines have gone. People can't do what they normally do. People worry about the loved ones. And I think the club making the colours blue to support the NHS. And it's all those sort of little things that I think, Barnsley fans are uniting, where other teams are not doing much. And they're sort of crumbling under it all. I think Barnsley fans are uniting, and it's great to see, isn't it?
So, Carlo, if you go onto YouTube now, after we finish this podcast, put in Adam Hamill's goal against Millwall in that playoff final. Start washing your hands from the minute he picks the ball up. By the time it goes in the net, you'll be done. How's about that?
I'll do that. So can I give up with the happy birthday now then?
Yeah, that's it. Carlo, it's been a pleasure.
Definitely.
As always.
Yes.
This has been... Thanks for listening, everybody, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for listening and watching. And if you find it hard to look at us, just close your eyes or put your laptop screen down so you can just listen to us.
This has been the Reds Report. I've been Chris Ridgard. He's been Carlo van der Watering. You Reds.